has been the worst one. This felt bad.
So at the end of this, we are not recommending this movie to anyone.
We're not even releasing this episode.
Yes, we are.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Creature Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Lindsay.
Today we're doing another horror movie. This one's called Thanksgiving because this should come out around Thanksgiving. This movie is from just last year, 2023. It's written by Jeff Rendell and directed by Eli Roth. Okay, let's go back real quick to the magical, majestic year of 2007 when Grindhouse came out.
2007? No. Was that 2007?
I believe so.
Oh my God, really? Okay.
Anyway, so for people who don't know, Grindhouse was a double feature of a Quentin Tarantino movie called Death Proof and a Robert Rodriguez movie called Planet Terror. It was a whole thing. That's kind of awesome. And in between the two movies, there
was a double feature in the theater when it was released.
Right. In between, there were trailers for movies that didn't exist. They were directed by Rodriguez himself, Rob Zombie, Edgar Wright. I'm sure I'm missing one, but Eli Roth did a fake movie trailer called Thanksgiving.
Yep.
This is actually the third Grindhouse trailer movie to come out of the fake trailers. There was Hobo with a Shotgun, and then there was Machete.
Right.
And now there is a full, real version of Thanksgiving.
Right.
And that's what we're covering today. This is going to be rough. Lindsay, start talking to me about the Thanksgiving.
Okay, going into this movie, I had no idea what it was about. I had forgotten that it was about this trailer from Grindhouse. I really, honestly, I know you probably told me like a million times, and I did not recollect
I probably didn't because it doesn't matter. The whole novelty of these things, like I said, it's the third one.
Yeah.
The idea of like, we're really doing it this time, guys, is kind of like...
We're doing a holiday movie, and I hadn't seen it.
No, that...
and that's what the whole thing was about.
Yeah, that's important to also say. This is one of those ones, we're going back to this, gosh, so long ago, Night Swim days, when neither one of us wanted to do a movie we had seen before.
Yeah.
And because it was around Thanksgiving, we were like, hey, let's just do that.
Yeah,
The
a movie
trailer
I'd never
looks
seen
fine,
before.
So let's do it.
There we go. It starts in Plymouth, Massachusetts, right? Which to me just means immediately pilgrim shit's going to happen. Pilgrim shit.
It's one of the things I love about this movie is it's a good design.
And the fun little intro, like going up to the house, reminds me of the beginning of Halloween.
Obviously.
Yeah, just whole thing just felt they're copying Halloween.
From fucking screen one, we are doing stepping over cobblestones that better people have already walked on.
Yes, absolutely.
Or have laid, in fact.
And then, like, it's a family get-together and Thanksgiving, and Patrick Dempsey walks in the door. And I'm like, well, Patrick Dempsey...
I don't know this guy at all.
How do you not know who Patrick Dempsey is?
All I know is that he's in Grey's Anatomy.
And he was, like, Can't Buy Me Love. He was a teenage
sure.
heartthrob.
I know of him. He's not one of those people that I can point at a thing and
but
really go...
For me, I was like, you're huge now. Why are you in this fucking movie? I'm like, you're the bad guy.
Well, they killed him in Grey's Anatomy, so...
They did. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch that much Grey's Anatomy.
He strikes me as a real, like, dollar store Mulroney. Dylan, both of them. Dylan Mulroney and... Dermot.
Dylan McDermott and Dylan Mulroney.
It's those two, and then Dempsey is, like, at the bottom of that cup.
Well, didn't they also, like, stick the guy you don't like, whose face you don't like, Timothy
Oliphant,
also into that whole little section in a show we watched once? They put all three of them as, like, interchangeable people?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so you're right. I tried to clock the bad guy early into this.
Why else would he be there? He's either the hero or the bad guy.
Well, except you're wrong, because right out, the person who doesn't meet him at the door, but the person who greets him when he walks in is Gina Gershon. And
I know.
I'm so excited. I'm like,
I know.
Gina Gershon's in the house. This movie's 20% better. And then she fucking dies.
She did.
And never comes back. Why would you think?
She's the motive. Okay. Anyway, I'm giving away things.
My
all right.
entire ass. God, I hate this thing. Go ahead.
Okay, anyways, we got simultaneous family dinners going on. We're flashing back and forth between like a working man's Thanksgiving dinner where you got the guy who has to go to work on Thanksgiving.
It's the haves and the have-nots.
Yes, and then you flash to the people who own the business where the guys have to go to. and, you know, the really rich people. The rich family has a daughter. Her name is Jessica.
Never caught it.
Oh my God, I wrote daughter like halfway through and then went
all
back.
The way
and
through
once I figured out what her name was, I went back and corrected my notes.
She's our fucking protagonist.
She is.
I don't know her name.
You didn't know her name. Yeah, unfortunately, that's where we are. So it's a big box store the rich family owns. The kids leave their Thanksgiving dinner to go to a movie to get picked up by other children.
So basically, on the one hand, the haves are doing a Black Friday thing. They're initiating a Black Friday.
Starting on Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah.
And that forces the father of the have-nots to go into work and miss his Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So you've set up this whole thing. This I love. So the rich kids, yes, get in a car with some other rich kids. It is a whole van of asshats who
I stopped listening to what they were saying. It was just gobbledygook to me. I couldn't understand. And I didn't care what they had to say.
It is a car full of murder victims, and that's fine with me. So they, for dumb reasons, pull up to this box store that has got a mob crowd outside.
Well, I mean, like, they have a little, like, flimsy reason. So the driver got in a fight with a kid from another school, and his phone got crushed. They say, oh, we can go get a new phone.
But why on earth would you choose the mob store? I guess the whole thing is because the girl can get
them into the back door. Yeah, in the back door.
So this is the part of this movie I love.
Yeah.
Which is wild that I love any part of this movie.
Okay.
So we're setting up too many characters, but we have the father of the poor family trying to, like, get the store together. The kids are being snuck into the back of the store. Before they get in, there's a character named Ryan who wants to...
You can tell he wants to date
Jessica.
You can tell he's into her.
Jessica is dating Bobby, who's a star baseball player. And there is this riotous crowd of asshole Massachusetts people who are just screaming curse words.
They want their free waffle iron.
At the security because of waffle irons. And I find it fucking great. Yeah. It's not... I mean, there's a lot of commentary about, like, too much social media in this and technology and whatnot, but I love that it wasn't an iPad or something. I love that all these people are going bonkers for waffle irons.
It's just free. It doesn't matter what it is. It's an item that is free. VCR. It could have been a VCR. It could have been obsolete. DVD player.
So obviously...
And it would have been free, and they would have been doing the same thing.
This crowd glimpses these kids have snuck in the back and are now going through stuff before them. It all builds to a crescendo, and the mob goes through the store. They, like, open the doors because everyone's being crushed against the glass. They finally get it open. People are being trampled.
Well, the whole door frame falls on top of the security guard that opened the door.
Right.
So he's, like, under a door frame while they all go across him.
My favorite, there's a guy who squeaks in and cuts his neck open on a piece of glass and dies, bleeding out, clutching the waffle iron.
And somebody grabs it out of his arms.
At this moment, I was like, is this a great movie? Because this is all fun stuff.
It was a good intro of talk about capitalism, and
we have touched upon this. I mean, there's a movie
disparity.
Called Black Friday that doesn't do.
Oh my god! I literally wrote and deleted. Oh my god! Are we going to be doing exactly what Black Friday is? Because I'm watching all these characters congregate in one place on Thanksgiving. And I thought we were going to be doing something like that again, but we weren't. So
this movie looks great. This is a competent cinematography. This is directed well. Looks amazing. And then we cut, let's see, Gina Gershon, the wife, is there to bring the husband food. She gets caught up in the riot and gets killed.
She gets killed. And when they scalped her, it was awful.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, God, it was awful.
They scalped her?
Well, no, like her hair got stuck in like a cart or something, and they pulled her scalp off. People were like banging carts together, and it was pulling her scalp off. Yeah.
Here's what this movie is.
It was very gratuitously gory.
Here's what this movie is. Eli Roth, once upon a time, got the trash can from the writer's room of a Final Destination movie and just pulled out all those fucking rejected Post-it notes and put them in this movie, because we are now doing
everything
dumb fucking kills that are super, super gory throughout the rest of this movie.
It was, every single one is pretty extreme. Like, it was.
And anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So basically, this is the great tragedy of this town.
Did Eli Roth also do Hostel?
Get in, yes. I have never had a good time with Eli Roth, and this is... Look, we're on the heels of him creating one of the biggest Hollywood bombs of all time. He did that Borderlands movie.
Yeah.
And it made $0 and it cost like $100 million. It's not his wheelhouse. This is more his wheelhouse.
Right.
But I've never liked anything Eli Roth has done. And this is, I almost wrote an essay about him. We'll see when we get to the movies. Anyway, so this is obviously the inciting incident for a killer to show up. This is, I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving. We cut to 1 year later.
A year later, yes.
And everyone is dealing with the trauma in various ways.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's a year later, and the store's going to have a sale again, and the working man, the guy who Gina Gershon's husband, he's leading a bunch of protests constantly. Bobby has disappeared off the face of the earth because he got injured in the stampede.
That's right. That was a big thing. His pitching hand
career is over,
broken.
and he got stepped on.
Essentially, all it is we're setting up all the people with motive.
The rich family's been trying to make amends by like donating money,
but they're full of shit.
Yeah, it's all like, you know, they say the security cameras were not working, but we literally had a scene where we saw the security camera footage of that night, and so suddenly the security cameras
also a big part of this is one of the asshole boyfriends of the kids got up onto a checkout counter and recorded the mob the whole time, and that keeps going viral, especially now that it's coming back. It's coming back a year
later, yeah.
So
and Jessica is now dating Ryan, that kid from the parking lot.
Yeah, Jessica started dating this kid. All of this doesn't. I mean,
it kind of matters, but it doesn't, because nothing matters in this movie.
No, now we're in nothing matters. Now we're in a Scream situation, essentially, where everyone's a suspect. And
well, it's just like I Know What You Did Last Summer. You called it with that. It feels just like that.
Except it's not, because we've got, look, this is going to be possibly a lost episode, because I have a moral quandary giving air to this movie, because I legitimately think it was written by AI. It's not a joke, man. Shit in this movie happens that, you know, when you watch moving AI images, it gives you an ick. Like there's something in it that's like melty and gross and like not right. I had that for this screenplay. The writing of this movie shit kept happening, and I was like, gross. Humans didn't put that in here. That is a machine needing to click a box. And so, yes, there is a I Know What You Did Last Summer box, but there's a Scream box, because here comes cops. Here comes Dewey.
Right.
Into the thing. And who is introduced into, Patrick Dempsey's cop
he's a sheriff,
walks into
the diner. Yeah.
The diner waitress is a very prominent
offender of the previous year.
Yeah, rioter.
Yeah.
And she's just fine. They're giving out these masks to everyone.
Pilgrim masks, yeah.
Which is the mask of a guy named John Carver, who founded the town.
Yeah.
And so this is a very Halloween thing where it's like or a later Halloween thing where everyone's wearing the Michael Myers mask.
Right.
So you can't do whatever. And then they introduce...
He's like, my new deputy's going to come in. And this guy who he drives into the parking lot, like, very badly.
In a giant, monster truck.
Yeah, a giant Bronco on, lifts. And he's, yelling at people, even though he's the one who made the traffic faux pas. Right. And,
So you think this is...
who the fuck is this guy?
So you think this is a character?
He's not a fucking character! Right. What the fuck was the point of that entire intro of this person?
Yeah, it's almost as if not humans wrote this
Because, I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Patrick Dempsey's not the bad guy. Now it's this guy.
I like how you're getting madder than I am.
And then he's going to turn out to be, some, relation to somebody who died, and he's not.
So when this guy walks into frame, you're like, this is going to be important. Gina Gershon's husband, working class guy, disappears out of this fucking movie
for a while,
forever. So
he shows up in newscasts, but that's it.
Fold in and fold out of this stuff, and it becomes so egregious as we keep going.
It's like they had all these puzzle pieces and they didn't know how they fit, and they're like, well, if we tape them all together, it'll be okay. It doesn't have to be a perfect puzzle.
And the puzzle pieces are other horror movies.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's why you think it's AI. Yeah, I see now.
Because everything is from something else.
Yeah.
Starting from the first screen of being outside during POV from Halloween.
Right.
And we're going to keep going. So anyway, we're in the diner.
Oh, if we're in the diner, we skipped the part where we're in the old Plymouth town and it got vandalized and we saw the axe was stolen.
Yeah,
come on. We need to know the axe was stolen. That's part of...
We don't need to know that. The bad guy has an axe.
Fine. Okay, fine.
When it's revealed where they are, it's, oh my God, we're in the old Plymouth town. Who could care
You're
when
right.
that happens?
It didn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're right. Okay. We're in the diner. They think they see Bobby, walk out of the diner.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't make any sense in retrospect because Patrick Dempsey's in the fucking diner.
He is in the diner.
So that is just a guy being ominous.
And then there's some guy standing across the street staring at Jessica wearing the pilgrim's mask, and Patrick Dempsey is still in the diner.
You know why that happened? Because that's the scene from Halloween. That's Michael Myers looking in the classroom at Laurie Strode.
This movie does not make sense. So the diner waitress lady, she's closing up the diner. She's all alone. And then we have this part where she gets attacked, and he literally dunks her head in water and then opens the freezer and shoves her face on the freezer so she sticks.
Yes, it's a scene from Jason X, Jason in Space.
Oh my God, really? You watched that movie?
Yeah, just recently.
Oh, you did just tell me you watched that movie.
The scene of her head being dunked in the water is exactly the scene of the girl being dunked into liquid nitrogen, and then Jason smashes her head apart. In this, he smashes her face. It's just normal water and smashes her face to a lock and freezer door.
It's like Ralphie, and
but
where his
for
tongue
reasons
is stuck on
that doesn't
pole.
make any sense, she's so stuck to this thing that she can't get off.
It makes perfect sense.
It.
Haven't you ever like had wet hands and you grab ice and all the ice?
Yeah,
sticks to
and
your
when you
hands?
get it off, does it rip your flesh?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You just go, ow, and you run away from a killer. Anyway, this takes too long because we don't.
I did there was a scene there though. I did like she went into the office and she's got all this bloody gore all over her hands and she's trying to call for help and her cell phone won't even recognize her face.
I have
or
a
work.
note on this. It's
That was actually finally somebody made a smart why her cell phone won't work because she can't get it open because it's too slick. You've had this issue and it won't recognize her face because there's also blood on the lens and her face is all bloody, torn up.
No, it's fine, other than it's just what we all know is that in case of emergencies, our technology will let us die because we can't get our fucking phone open.
Right. Well, and what diner doesn't have a landline in an office, which is where she was.
All kinds of them, babe.
I can't imagine. They have to have
this
a landline.
is the minute. These are not plot holes we need to focus on.
Fine.
She goes running out of this diner. We're taking way too long with this character because we don't like her anyway. We don't know her other than she's an asshole. We are watching her try to escape, almost escape. It takes forever. She gets out to the parking lot, almost to a car, her car, but someone's in it. The lights turn on. She turns around to run. She jumps halfway into a dumpster, and the car hits the dumpster hard enough for the lid to bang down and sever her body completely in half.
Which I can't imagine. That looks like a Volkswagen Golf. There's no way that car severed her in half.
No, babe, it's a cartoon. At this point, you're like, oh, we're watching Final Destination, the animated series. So the next morning, everyone's freaking out because the bottom half of this victim has been placed on top of the big box store sign as kind of like I'm here and I'm killing people.
Yeah.
The news shows up, everyone's freaking out. Now what?
They are in school and they get tagged on social media where it's like a Thanksgiving table.
Right. Okay. So the kids are now being threatened on social media from this John Carver account. And it's a
brand new account, so there's no follows.
It's a set Thanksgiving table and they have name placards around it. And then our second fucking character rolls up.
Yeah, McCarty, that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Who's McCarty?
So he's like the older guy who hangs out with the teenage kids.
Right. So he's going to be important, right?
He's going to be important.
Except...
he kind of is important. He provides things that
this
are important.
This movie, for what it is 1 hour and 47 minutes.
That's
and
too long.
Keep adding these fucking guys.
Yeah, no,
so McCarty is that, yes, exactly.
He's like the older guy who hangs out with the teenagers. He gets them drunk. He provides them with whatever they need.
And his dad owns the town's gun store.
The gun store, yeah. And he has this line, of course, where it's like, what is it? The only place in town you won't be killed is if you come to my party. Yeah.
Right.
The Thanksgiving night party. Yeah.
That doesn't come back to haunt at all.
No.
Because the party is way before the Thanksgiving. The parade's the next day.
Yeah, it's like the Thanksgiving Eve party, I guess. Yeah.
Which isn't a thing.
It's not.
I guess they try to write it off as this town, Thanksgiving is their Christmas.
Yeah, they do.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
The people don't even act like it.
I mean, it's like that Trick or Treat movie where they have the parade, they have the parties, they have all this shit going on. It's the same thing.
That's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sam Hain, yeah.
Anyway.
Whatever.
There are Thanksgiving parades, obviously, famously, so I don't know why I shouldn't be bitching about this.
They pull Jessica into the police station later that day. They're still in school, but they pulled out of school to go look at the police station and tell them, see if they can recognize anybody, stuff like that. I don't know.
Right, that's where it's revealed that the evil stepmom of Jennifer...
Jessica,
who cares...
Bobby's
was worried about lawsuits from the right, and she was the one that deleted the footage.
Yes, so Bobby came back.
None of this matters because they have all of the footage.
Yeah.
They have, Patrick Dempsey shows them, can you identify this, and this? I'm like, this town is fucking 200 people.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everyone. Patrick Dempsey shows her, do you know these people? One of them is the cafe matron who knows his regular order the morning before. He knows who these people are. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I agree with you.
Oh, but Bobby's back in town.
Bobby's back in town. That's why we find out she's talking to Bobby about what happened. Yeah. Bobby's back in town. He's driving a tow truck. Of course, like, she's like, oh, I saw you yesterday. And he's like, I just arrived today. Which, again, another plot point. Wasn't. It meant fucking nothing. There's so many things that they say in this movie that mean and lead nowhere.
Right, because it was right by so Bobby does an apology going, I ghosted everyone. I'm back now. I'm on a track to maybe get my pitching arm back. And the one thing I love about Bobby is he's a real short king. And let's get this out there. I'm not the tallest guy in the room. And this guy, he's nice. He's confident. He broke his hand in the first place trying to help someone.
He did.
And he's walking next to these actors that are like way taller than him. And still, he's like, that's the guy. Not for one lick of a second did I think Bobby was the killer in this.
No.
I thought Ryan was.
I thought Ryan was.
Until the movie explicitly was like, is Ryan a killer? And I'm like, well, fuck, if the movie's asking these questions,
then it's not Ryan, So, like, in the beginning, in the Stampede last year, there was only 2 security guards at this Black Friday sale. One of them got trampled. The other one literally just ran away.
Right.
So we're at him now.
The one who ran away.
The one who ran away.
And he's packing to get out of here.
Yeah, he's got his passport. He's going to the Dominican Republic.
For one,
he's got
whatever
somebody to
reason,
watch his cat.
He knows that he's on the chopping block.
Yeah, he knows that he fucked up, and he's just being careful and leaving the fucking country. He's got an Uber outside, and his passport disappears. And obviously there's somebody in his apartment. Obviously his passport disappears, and then a mask shows up on his couch, and he's freaking out. He grabs a bat.
I thought this was going to be an excellent clue because he's saying goodbye to his kitty, and he's now knows someone's in the apartment, and he's trying to be a tough guy, and he's like talking to the cat. He's like, "Are you good? Who's there? Is there someone in there?" And out of nowhere, we get a meat carving knife into the gut.
Right.
And then he's garroted until
his head
the
just came, completely off.
So the John Carver mass killer picks up his head, takes it with him, and starts to leave. And the kitty looks back, and the kitty's sitting there by the food bowl. And the John Carver turns around and feeds the cat.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, I love that detail.
But that's what made me think it was Ryan.
And now I'm thinking it's a clue.
It's a clue. This is a nice person.
It's not.
It's not. No, it's not.
Not a clue.
So Jessica, after the conversation with Bobby about the security tapes, she knows there's a copy in her dad's office, so she goes to the dad's office.
Can I real quick interject? Sure. I'm so sorry, but I have to do something important for this movie. Jessica has an evil stepmom because she's mourning the loss of her dead mother, her recently dead mother.
Yeah.
This is quote unquote important because we have to check that box off of Scream.
Oh, yeah.
It comes back later.
Sure.
In a way that is...
Did it? I don't think it really did. Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
How she remembers her mom is a locket or like a bracelet with a little picture in it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a charm bracelet.
It's a charm bracelet that has her mom's picture.
Whatever. Anyways.
Remember how important that is for the end of this movie?
Not really.
Anyway.
So Jessica's looking through the security footage on her dad's office, and she sees Ryan, bro hugging the security guard that died. They got trampled. And nowhere in any of the interviews has anybody said that Ryan knew that guy. And so she thinks he's lying. And so she takes this printout. She goes to the cop, to Patrick Dempsey, to sheriff, and to show him this information.
Again, this is just filler. None of this is important. Because all it does is make Ryan a suspect in the eyes of his classmates.
Right.
And all of it turns out to be he just hugged this guy because he's his new drug dealer. That was the reason he was just getting Adderall.
We found out he was getting Adderall. That was later. We didn't find that out right now.
So that's really all of this was like, oh my God, he said he didn't know this guy, that he is doing a bro hug in a picture.
Yeah.
And does that mean he's the killer? And when he's confronted, he's just like, no, we were just being tight because he's selling me Adderall.
Yep.
That's it. That's that plot little string tied up.
Yeah, teenage drama shit. That's what I wrote. And then trampoline scene.
Huh?
Trampoline scene is next.
Okay. Now here's something important. I rewatched the original Thanksgiving trailer during...
Did you do it in the middle of the movie?
Yes.
Okay, I knew you did.
You
stopped the movie to go back
I had
and watch
to do
the trailer.
extensive research.
The original 2007 Thanksgiving trailer. Okay.
This is the flames going to the side of my head. So it was a different time. This was Grindhouse.
It was
Grindhouse. This is supposed to be the sleaziest of the sleaze.
It was, yeah.
And the original trailer, this was a standout moment in the original trailer.
Yeah.
Of a couple moments that the original trailer has a high level of sexual violence in it, because that's what everybody was fond of, and now we're more careful about that kind of thing. when I saw this happening. So basically, it is a PE coach who is distracted from his PE duties in the high school because there's a cheerleader going, hey. And he's like, oh, I'm going to go get laid because they have this relationship. These are two characters that don't exist in this movie. They exist just to die.
I mean, the guy who died was the guy who fought the original driver guy to get a cell phone. I
can't remember.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know that. At this point in the movie, I was just like, people are dying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So she is like, the coach is like, hey, administration says we can't fuck anymore. And she's like, don't worry. Right? It's like,
I love that face.
I find it kind of funny because I'm like, it's this podunk fucking town that are like, hey, guys, can you just, this illegal...
I do think that this kid is supposed to be like a student teacher, so like I don't think he's...
Oh, okay.
Because he is a student when he was fighting the kid last year. So maybe he's like 1 year out of high school.
Fine.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She's like, we won't fuck, I'll just put on a show for you. And so she, in her little cheerleader outfit, gets on this school trampoline. This school has weird things. It's got a whole hairdressing school in it.
Don't even get me started. I have a whole conversation about that in a little while.
So she's bouncing up and down. And when this movie came out, everybody was like, the trampoline scene's in it. Well, in the original trailer, she does the splits in midair. A knife goes up through the trampoline, and it is...
And she falls
and
off the knife.
To your imagination, it is horrific.
Yeah, it is horrific.
This is...
So much less?
This is just a good kill.
I love
this kill.
The funny thing is like, I was watching this scene. I had forgotten about this trailer. And I just was like, I know what's happening. And I had to like cover my face. And now that you reminded me that I had seen this before, now I know why. It was already pre-traumatic moment for me. I will not watch this scene.
And it was opposite for me. So I just watched shit. And I'm like, fuck, how are they going to do this nowadays? And it just turns out to be the best kill in the movie. Because it's legitimately terrifying. She goes down. The worst
part is that she survives.
Does she?
She's the one in the freezer.
Oh, she's still whatever. Who could care? Basically, she's jumping up and down. She comes down. The knife goes up, and it cuts through her ankle and her like Achilles tendon. Which
he did that in Hostel.
Yeah, this dude is a one-trick pony. I don't think he's even a one-trick pony. I think
hamstring? Is that what they call when you cut that? You hamstring somebody, or is it?
Yeah, it's your Achilles tendon will like zip back up into your leg.
But isn't that what they call it? Isn't then they call it when they hamstring somebody, they cut your Achilles tendon, or is that something else?
I don't know. So she obviously collapses, and now the knife is going up through different places in this trampoline, and she can only roll around into it, and obviously he knows right. It's rough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool, we did a good one. And then the PE coach gets his head twisted around. I think that happened before. First, but who cares?
It kind of happened first. Yeah.
So this was a good kill that actually was more effective than the original.
Read a note. Oh God, the writing sometimes.
All right. So these people died.
Oh, and her fucking story about the blunderbuss. Sorry.
Why did he kill the cheerleader and the coach? Were they at the...
Apparently the coach was. I didn't remember
so
that.
the person who started the stampede was a stupid ass guy from the rival school who saw the other guy standing on the counter saying, I'm here, I got my cell phone, I'm here before you in the shop, right, the year before. And so the guy is waiting at the gates to go into Black Friday, this other teenage guy, and they had just gotten a fight. He's got a black eye. The whole reason this other kid is in there in the first place. None of this matters. Anyways, they're a personal rival. The only reason that this
It doesn't come back in any way.
You have to remember that this is the kid who started the riot. He had the megaphone.
You don't have to
riot.
Remember.
If you don't, it's just a random kid that doesn't tie in.
At the end of which I didn't remember. Basically, at the riot line, this kid grabs a megaphone away from one of the two security guards and turns to the crowd and goes, the store is open. That was the final straw that made everyone run.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the connection between the two, and it didn't affect my viewing of this movie at all.
To be fair, like, it took me a little bit to realize, like, who the fuck is this person? And then, like, I didn't even recognize this really banal white man as being the same person.
Right. That's
so,
what
like,
I'm saying.
I feel like he was in a position of authority here in this year later, and in the previous year, he was just some kid on a fucking picket line. So, like, it was not the same character to me. Like, they did not tie it well together.
Right.
So, I know your whole point about this whole movie is that.
Yes. I don't know why Can we edit this down to, like, just not existing?
Why stab the cheerleader? Was she at the riot?
Yes, she was there with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was there with him.
Don't remember.
I thought you were like, that's
Doesn't
your
matter.
girlfriend. Chop her up.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. At this point, we have also seen that John Carver has taken the upper torso of the first victim and put it in a chair.
Oh, that Thanksgiving table scene was empty, and now he's putting the head and the torso at the table.
I don't watch anything by Eli Roth because
this is
everything that he does is so scarring.
Yeah.
It's so basic ass. It's not to me. It's so wanting to be scarring. Anyway, he goes
over the top. It makes it not scarring. Like you have to like The Orphanage.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Was horrible for me. There's things, if you want to scar people, you can do it really well. But this shit is just a cartoon.
Yes, there are good horror movies, is what you're saying.
Yes, I am saying that. Anyways, okay, so where we leave off. Oh, the blunderbuss story, which she talks about how her dad made her learn how to pack a musket over and over and over again so she could do it by heart. Obviously, that just stupid ass, out of place conversation is going to come back. Gabby and Evan get knocked out or kidnapped because like they're in the
Nobody
school.
knows those names because we haven't said
those
names.
Are the two friends. Yeah.
Okay, so...
Oh, and then I wrote, why the fuck does this high school have a cosmetology program? They have an entire room like set up for cosmetology program. This is a school that's supposed to be like rural.
It's
like,
not.
Is it a vocational school?
No, it's a regular high school. It seems to have money, but it has a whole vocational program for cosmetology.
And the reason is it's not cosmetology. It's like, I mean, it is, but for all intents and purposes, it's for hair cutting. So we could have multiple mannequin heads with different hairstyles sitting on whatever, because we have our hero girl has to run from John Carver and hides in there as like, it's like fucking Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it was Scooby-Doo. Straight up Scooby-Doo. Hide among the heads. There's scissors as a possible weapon, which she doesn't actually get to use ever. It's just like
yeah, she uses a spray can of hairspray.
She uses the hairspray, yes, and she gets away. And then that's when we find out Ryan was just buying Adderall. And then Jess is like, I don't want to talk to either one of you guys ever again. Of course. So then this is when the Russian dad shows up.
So what happens now is, as the high school kids are in the parking lot having their little tiff, a SUV shows up and takes the least known of these kids, one of the girls. Out of the SUV comes a Russian, like, mafia guy. And she's like, Dad? And he's like, you need to leave. You're going to Florida. And, like, just takes her away. And we're like, who's this guy? This is an hour and some change into this movie, and suddenly there's a plot line about this girl being taken out of the movie by a Russian oligarch or something.
I don't know. So like there's, in the friend group, there was like three couples, six kids. And one of them is Scuba, which that's his name. He goes by Scuba. And then his girlfriend, this little...
It's because his last name is Diver.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And his first name was horrible, yeah.
Essentially now we are left with this girl out of the picture. We are left with Scuba and Jessica going, we can't just sit around and wait to die. We need to take some action. And they go to McCurdy's house.
Yeah, they go get a gun.
There is a party going on. I like the party because it's lame as shit. It's filled with Christmas lights. This guy is like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, which the same kind of character.
A funny little like velvet rope outside of this ramshackle shitty house. There's all of these kids, like high school kids, young kids, passed out to various degrees in all the rooms.
Vomiting.
And he takes these two up to his gun room, essentially, where all it is like he's hidden guns in foam packing in violin cases and like a DVD
a boombox
players
opens up and there's a gun inside. His waterbed has a pop down and there's...
And I'm like, is this funny? Is this supposed to be like a joke about Robert Rodriguez's Desperado, where they all carried guns in like guitar cases and stuff?
Maybe.
I don't know what this is. Essentially, all it is
silly.
Is them getting a gun.
Yeah, it was really silly.
And telling Scuba to make sure you take the safety off. That's it. So now they're armed. After McCurdy's party, we go to the Russian girl's house.
Her name is Julia.
She is packing for her Florida trip.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, she's running around the house. Carver's coming after her. I don't have a ton of details. I just know it ends with a table saw.
Right. Well, so, like, the pilgrim comes in, you know, the John Carver guy. He darts the cop that was watching them. He darts Dad with, like, blow darts, you know, like, to not kill them.
So he's starting to blow dart his guests.
Yeah, people who he's not trying to kill.
He doesn't want to kill
And then he goes after Julia. She was FaceTiming Scuba at the time, so they know she was attacked. So they drive to her house immediately. And then there's a little standoff. He's got a knife to her throat. And he's, like, got a video up showing the other two friends that were kidnapped at the school. And then Scuba's got his gun, and he tries to shoot because Julia's yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot. And the safety, of course, he forgot to take the safety off. So then the pilgrim guy, like, I don't know if it was an accident or intentionally steps on, like, the power button of the table saw, which is a paddle on the floor, which does not seem safe at all. And then throws Julia onto the table saw.
Which, once again, at first, looks great because she goes to block her
and her
fall,
fingers come off.
And her hand goes onto the saw and all her fingers come off. And I'm like, fuck, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It looked good. And then she falls stomach first onto it. And when they pick her up, it just looks like all of these fucking hot dogs falling out of her belly. And I'm like, what a terrible effect.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you just did something so good with a hand that's like super cringy. And then you pull her back and it's just like Roger Corman 1950s like guts falling out of her. And I'm just like, okay, so that girl's gone now.
Yeah, so now we're just down to the 2 kidnapped kids and then the 2 kids, Jessica and Scuba. And then we still have Bobby in the wind and Ryan in the wind and at this time. So they get with the cops after this and they decide to set a trap at the parade with her dad and stuff. Because everybody's having a Thanksgiving parade or they have floats and stuff like that.
And this is good too. This is in the original trailer.
Yeah.
I think with a movie like this, you have to do a full-on Thanksgiving parade.
Yeah.
And they do it. They show the warehouse where all these things are being built.
The floats, yeah.
Everyone's dressing like pilgrims for this. They're going to be on various floats. Ryan, they make a real point to show Ryan getting dressed in his pilgrim thing with a hat and says this fits, to pointedly be like, oh, he's definitely the killer, which means he's definitely not the killer.
Right.
This looks good. We're now in a Thanksgiving morning
And Bobby's
parade.
like helping build these floats.
Sure. There's a reason the
His
whole
tow
gang's
truck's there. Yeah.
There is a way to tighten this movie down to where it makes sense. I just think if a human wrote it. Just do that.
So they're doing the parade, yada, yada, yada. A guy dressed in a clown suit beheads a guy dressed in a turkey suit with a giant axe, and everything goes
right. For whatever reason, this clown mask is straight out of Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
right?
Or an Insane Clown Posse
and
concert.
It was like
it has no reason to be there. So when he runs in the background, your eye goes, "What the fuck is that?" And so then he jumps back on screen to behead people. And I'm like, yeah, that was the guy who you're supposed to be looking at because he looks terrifying.
And then they start throwing like smoke grenades and all sorts of flashbang grenades. It was elaborate. Like, who the fuck has all this shit? And then there's the
cops,
the scene,
the militarized police.
Oh, I feel bad for those little girls next to their grandpa.
I don't remember the little girls next to their grandpa.
Like, they stop the float and the boat like goes through grandpa's head,
the
and these little girls are just like, they rush everybody who was on that float because that's our main family character, the dad, the stepmom, Jessica, her friend Scuba. They rush them all into a cop car. But nobody's dealing with these poor little girls that are sitting there next to their grandfather.
Well, it's chaos.
I know, but like, who are they?
Well, also,
where'd they come from?
They're rushed into a cop car as a plan. The clown then takes off with the cop car with all of them.
It was an
trapped in
elaborate
the back.
kidnapping.
And he shoots them with the tranks, so they all pass out and they drive off.
Yeah. Then we flash to Cooking with Mommy.
Now, yes, we're going to get there. There is a little thing that happens that I don't know if I want to bring up now or not, but this is the moment where I had an existential crisis. So there is a moment just before, I guess I'll just get into it, just before the Jessica gets on the float that McCurdy shows back up. Out of nowhere, he goes, hey, I want to give you this ring. This is my dad's ring. He had it in Iraq, and he said it kept him alive.
It kept him alive in Iraq, yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Out of
and
nowhere.
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, it's another like random shit. I mean, it comes to play back because she needs that thing.
It's only there to come back.
I know.
Here's a gun. Make sure the safety's off. Next scene. I pulled the gun. I forgot about the safety. In this, out of nowhere, a character shows up, goes, here's a ring. My veteran father said it was kept him alive. And now we cut to them all tied up around this Thanksgiving dinner table at their seats. They're all tied up. John Carver's there, like, being menacing. We'll go into the back room in a second.
Okay.
And Jessica now finds the ring has a tiny blade in it and is starting to cut her ropes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not how screenplays work. That's not how storytelling works. This has to be her mom's ring who died in Iraq.
Yeah.
That's how stories work.
Yes. It's not just like, here's a random piece of accoutrement that'll help you get out of something later.
That literally pops up 2 pages before you need it in the script.
I know. It was poorly written. So funnily, actually, we actually see the back room before we see that scene. I actually thought this scene with the pilgrim guy cooking was hilarious. Cooking with mommy was funny.
Yeah, it's fun.
I thought it was funny.
Evil stepmom is trussed up on a table, and
he's basting
John
her.
Carver is basting her, sprinkling salt on her, putting...
And she's like pretending to be asleep. So we know she's awake.
Herbs between her toes. Like,
it was funny, especially when we get to the herbs between her toes. I was laughing.
It's supposed to be funny. This is the moment in the movie that I know some people who are like, this was too much, and I was like, this is so stupid. It's fine. Throws her in an oven, and we get to sit in that oven with her for a minute.
Well, she tries to escape first before.
Well, not very hard because there's not like a lock on the oven door. She just rolls around. Oh,
are they at a house? How big is the oven?
Well, we don't know where
the oven
they're
was
at.
huge. Like, where the fuck are we that has this big of an oven? It was huge. It was like...
No, it doesn't make sense.
It was a commercial grade bakery oven. Like, oh, it's as big as a pizza oven. You know where you go to the pizza by the slice place?
That's what it is.
Yeah. That's how big it is.
It's basically got a front door rectangular thing that comes down like this, so the big glass, we could see her in it the whole time.
Yeah.
And that is a door that can be pushed open from the inside. There's no lock on an oven.
No.
If I was writing this, of course, I would put a lock on it or a chain on it or anything. So she's in there dying.
Before she gets in the oven, that's when she finds the girl in the fridge, the cheerleader.
Doesn't matter.
She was alive, but she's not alive no more.
Why does that matter?
I don't know. You're right. It doesn't matter. You're right. It doesn't matter.
She's in this oven and she's dying one of the worst deaths you could possibly...
cooked alive.
Blistering. It looks terrifying. It's, again, a pretty good effect. Get out. The oven has no visible lock on it. That door just goes down like that. So I was just like, you can just get out of here, probably. But no.
But she's also scared, and...
There's no amount of fear that I have that's not making me get out of an oven.
You're right. You're right.
If I can.
So, I guess... He cooks her. There's a live stream. They're at the table. He has this giant sheeted person, and then he reveals that it's cooked mom.
Now, this is in the original trailer. The OG trailer, not the cooking, but the reveal of the meat of the
carcass.
Cooked person. And it is a trussed human being. Mm-hmm. They do have the stupid timer, the little plastic
he stabbed her with that.
But it's a human carcass trussed up, and there is a whole bunch of like stuffing situation happening like we do with these birds.
Yeah.
In this one, mom's still dressed. Her clothes aren't burned off. She's still wearing...
It's stupid. It's like they try to be like more careful
safe
again.
And I'm like, be more safe. That's fine, but make it make sense.
Yeah.
Just change the angle or whatever where you're not seeing that kind of stuff.
Boobs and shit, yeah.
Don't like fully cook a human being and still have them with clothes on. Also, don't put anything in the oven with clothes on.
Yeah.
Just as a general rule.
Yeah. So Jessica uses the ring knife. She's like trying to escape, and then she hands the ring knife to Scuba he's trying to escape so they can get loose. And then they basically escape for a small amount of time. The guy like jumps through the wall, and like so they have to go back the way they came.
It's revealed that this giant place is in the back.
It's inside of the John Carver house in the weird fake town.
Historic John Carver house, which we've been to Massachusetts. Those houses are tiny.
I think I've been to Plymouth, Massachusetts when I was a kid.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. I don't know why I looked it up because I knew it was real, but I was kind of wondering.
It's like Old Town Salem, Old Town Plymouth. It's like the fake town where they show you how to spin yarn and bake bread in the old ovens.
I was wondering if there was a lawsuit against this movie from the town of Plymouth. That's why I looked it up. But you know that these are colonial houses. They're tiny. How on earth is there an outbuilding that has a dining room and an industrial pizza oven?
It's just like...
You just needed to tie a location back together. It's the Michael Myers ancestral home.
Yes!
We're coming back to a John Carver's ancestral home.
Yes.
Stop.
It's not that big. There's not giant enough in
Well, if it doesn't make sense, don't put it in your movie. Is
exactly.
What I'm saying. All right, where are we? I hope we're at the end, right? Oh, God, we're not. The audacity of this fucking movie.
They're trying to escape, and Scuba gets hit in the shoulder with the axe and falls on the ground because he's in pain. And Jessica escapes into like a forested area. She realizes she's in this fake town. She's running through the woods. She's being chased. She sees a big fence, and she starts to climb the fence. And then her charm bracelet gets stuck on the top of the fence. And, you know, the pilgrim guy is coming behind her. And she managed to escape right before he hits her. And so she's running. She twists her ankle or something at that time. And she's running back to town. When she gets back to civilization, she sees the sheriff on the ground next to his empty car. And I'm like, why is there a passed out sheriff on the ground by himself? And then you see like the pilgrim guy run into, we think is a pilgrim guy, run into a nearby factory. But I'm like, as soon as you see like the passed out sheriff alone on the ground by himself, come on.
No, I mean, there's a reason we just skipped it.
Bullshit, man. He's not alone in this manhunt.
No, there's a reason we skipped it. Before the table is set, the audacity of this movie to do a David Fincher style cop sting setup where we cut all the cops are being led to the killer and they're all in SWAT gear. And we cut to the John Carver at his place doing his thing. And they go back and forth. They're about to break in and get John Carver. And it turns out, John Carver has led them to the wrong location. Mm-hmm. It is not a scene that should be in this movie. And I believe that location is where booby traps are. And that's what blows the cops up. And that's why they're all on the ground. It's not just him on the ground, but it's like a bunch of, it's the carnage of that. I
don't remember seeing anybody on the ground in this scene at all. It was just alone, the sheriff by himself. He said he was hit over the head with a tire iron. He was not blown up. Yeah.
Okay. There is once again, a tiny correlation to this stupid shit is that when John Carver is putting what's-her-name in the oven, he takes his mask off and sets it on top of the oven and it melts half of the mask. And then he puts it back on. So now his mask is a little fucked up. When the cop, Patrick Dempsey cop, gets off the ground, he has a bunch of smudge on the side of his face, which you take to believe that it's because he's laying on his face on the ground. But that is the movie telegraphing again.
Sure.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, so, like, she sees the cop on the ground. She takes his gun. She follows what she thought was the bad guy into the factory. And she sees Bobby in there. And she's about to, like...
The factory is the warehouse where they're building the floats.
So Bobby has been there the whole time. Like, that's not, like, new. So she's in there. She's got her gun. She's about to shoot Bobby. The sheriff comes behind her and takes the gun from her. And he's like, you leave. I will take care of this. And you hear, like, 5 gunshots as she's outside. And then he comes out, and he's
Isn't Bobby the name of Skeet Ulrich in Scream?
No, it's Billy.
Oh, damn. He changed the letter.
Yeah, he changed the letter. Anyway, like he comes outside and he's like, oh, Bobby got away, but I got his phone. Then they go to the police station and
it's exhausting. Basically, Jessica figures out, because she has brambles all over her feet.
Burrs
from running through the field.
Yeah.
Clocks. That
so does the sheriff.
The sheriff has them.
So they're alone in the police station, just the two of them. Yeah.
So as events happen where we all know that the cop is the problem. Gina Gershon died. He was in love with Gina Gershon.
They were having an affair.
She was pregnant with his baby.
She was going to leave his wife. Basically, because of her and her friends, his whole family died. You know, his brand new family he was going to make died. And so he's pulling out revenge. The father, he's a family destroyer because the husband of Gina Gershon seemed like a fine guy. He did.
So this guy's been an asshole from jump, and now his tragedy made him a killer. It's not like he was ever sympathetic.
Right.
And so now it's Bobby and Jessica together again.
It turns out Jessica was pulled Bobby's phone out of the evidence bag and was recording that entire confession.
Right.
Yeah. And live streaming it. She was live streaming it, not just recording it. She was live streaming it to the world.
So his shit's all over the place. And we have a final confrontation.
And Bobby throws something through the window and they have a final confrontation.
We somehow get over to this float construction warehouse where the final confrontation of this stupid fucking movie happens. It's so bad.
I knew the blunderbuss thing was going to come back, and I just...
Yeah, but you don't know what the ammo is, which is crazy.
I did, but I didn't realize it was the same thing.
So...
I didn't care. At this point, I wanted to get this movie over with.
There's a whole back and forth chase scene. Our heroes fill up a chicken float balloon, or a turkey float balloon.
As you're running through a warehouse and somebody's chasing you, why would you stop and think to air up the chicken turkey unless you were planning on blowing it up, which she wasn't doing? So why would she plan on turning on the hydrogen or whatever to air up the fucking turkey?
Well, why would it be flammable gas?
Unless it's hydrogen and then it's going to float.
Is that what they use in Macy Day Parade?
Yes, the ones that float, yes. They use hydrogen.
They don't use helium? Whatever.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Now you have me. I don't know now.
Helium's not explode.
But whatever. Hydrogen is.
It is a flammable gas that fills up this big-ass turkey balloon. And then he's coming around the bend or whatever. She tries to pack a blunderbuss drops all of the buckshot and then uses her dead mommy bracelet as ammo for it, shoots it. It blows this thing up. I don't know how. There's no fire possible. Included in a blunderbuss other than the gunpowder in the gun itself.
Yeah.
It just engulfs this guy in flames, except when we cut to the flames, it is burning from the ground. Yeah. It is clearly like accelerant that is an oil or something instead of a flame that would go up.
Yeah.
So that looks like shit, and he dies. Except...
So there was a really funny line. I laughed out loud here. Before he dies, he comes out with like a gun or something, and she's like in the back of the thing, and he's like, "Sorry, Jessica, this year there'll be no leftovers."
Which is
I thought was so cheesy. It was so good.
I didn't like it because it's in the original trailer.
Oh no!
And it's so better.
I have not remembered the original trailer.
Well, no one should, but it's the trailer man voiceover, and it's so much better because this year there will be no leftovers.
I just like busted out laughing. That was the funniest thing in the entire movie. That was the best point.
The only thing I laughed at, we skipped over completely.
What's that?
Chad and his book report.
Oh my God! Yes.
So there's a moment in this movie that I found genuinely funny
was
where
his name Chad? The driver's name was Chad. That was his name, Chad.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
It's fine. We're just let's just keep going. So the end of it.
No one could escape a blast like that.
Right. They're giving our survivors solace that he's definitely dead. We can't find his body, but he's definitely dead because no one could survive a blast like that. And then we cut in on one of the firemen in a full gas mask walking out, and they look at him, and it's shot for shot the end of The Guest. When they said no one's going to be able to survive that fire, and the bad guy in The Guest comes out dressed as a fire.
Right.
And Mika goes, shit. And that's a good movie. Again, we just keep doing this, referencing to good movies.
And that's it. Like, they cut to the end of the movie at this point. Like, this movie definitely, I can see now that, like, obviously I don't have the library that you do in your brain of horror movies and things that they would steal from. But I can see in this conversation how they are constantly stealing scenes from other movies and pasting it together, and why you think it's AI. And it makes 100% sense.
Well, there's two things that I think make sense about how this came into the world, and both of them are incredibly scary to me. One is AI. I think the dumbing down of audiences, people will just fucking watch anything and don't have the education or the experience of knowing that this is good. We see what we ourselves watch on TikTok every day. The entertainment value of reels or whatever is next to nothing.
Sure.
So there's no challenging anymore. We're just going to accept what's ever put in front of our eyes and call it good. The other thing to me is more frightening, which is, I don't know, not more frightening, but it's a fear I've had my entire life. If I am Eli Roth, I am making a movie out of a trailer that I did for Grindhouse, and I am surrounded by auteurs. This is for a Quentin Tarantino movie. This is a Robert Rodriguez movie. Edgar Wright is doing this. Rob Zombie, even in a way, who's not necessarily an auteur, is an artist with vision. You may not like the vision. I personally give him a lot of respect for sticking with his weirdo fucking Dayglow backwoods vision. And then you put out your thing, and you are a fucking imposter. You're just not good at this.
Right.
And that is devastating. I always think that that's what my biggest fear has always been, is like, because I put references in my stuff. I do this, that, and the other, the homage or whatever. I haven't really put out a bunch of shit because my deepest fear is to put it out and be like, yeah, you're not good at this. So again, don't want to punch down when Eli Roth is very much down. But if this isn't AI and this is what he has, he's not good at this.
Right.
This is a bad story.
Oh no, it was a bad story. I mean, like, if this was a movie I was watching on my own, I would have either walked out of the room because you were still watching it, or would have turned it off.
I would have never watched this. Again, like I said last night, this is homework.
After the beginning, like, did it such a great intro, and then the rest of the movie failed it, like half an hour in, I would have
it had all the potential in the world to be good, and the amount of work you had to do to fuck this up this bad is not just fuck it up this bad, to do a great beginning and then just start cheating on other people's homework is bonkers to me, because this movie writes itself.
Well, there was definitely a movie here that could have been really well done, and it didn't
It's
pay
there in
off.
the first 15 minutes.
It is. The horror in the first 15 minutes of this movie was a multi-layer because you had all this gore and this trampling and these people who were getting hurt, but you also had all this consumerism and this statement about the state of the world.
Yeah, it's
everything.
Just about
just
deep enough to fuck,
smoked.
but it still was something there.
No.
All right.
You done talking about it, or do you want to talk about it more?
Well, all I want to talk about is if there's a question from John.
Okay.
Queen Latifah horror movie? I know there's Sphere. Have you seen Sphere?
I have not seen Sphere.
Well, it's got Queen Latifah and Dustin Hoffman. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. And basically, Dustin Hoffman's character wrote a book about what to do with alien contact. What you would need, essentially, a bunch of mathematicians, a psychiatrist, and something else. But the government gets them in secret all together, and then Dustin Hoffman figures out, it's like, oh, this is my book, basically.
What is Queen Latifah's role in this movie?
Queen Latifah's got a minor role in this movie, but her death is horrific. Oh, shoot, I ruined that part. But I think they can do, like, a murderer's holiday.
The last holiday.
The last holiday. Perfect.
Sphere was a scary movie for me when I was a kid.
I've never seen Sphere.
How have you never seen Sphere?
Is Queen Latifah not in any other horror movies?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, can you
name a horror movie Queen Latifah?
I don't have anything.
I'm a big fan of Queen Latifah.
Well,
I've seen, like Beauty Shop, The Last Holiday, Bringing Down the House.
And this is why I don't think I know of a Queen Latifah horror movie, because I would have seen it.
I loved watching Living Single when I was young, because it was just always on. I thought it was really funny. So I'm a big Queen Latifah fan, but I was like, I don't know if there are any Queen Latifah horror movies.
Honestly, all I think is to gender bend it. It's LL Cool J, which is in Deep Blue Sea, and is in Halloween H2O.
So maybe John thought she was also in Deep Blue Sea? I don't know, but...
His question was just...
As children, we watched Sphere, and it was terrifying, and Queen Latifah was in that movie.
So I guess I'm sorry, John. No to Queen Latifah horror movie.
She's in Scary Movie 3.
Oh, that's rough.
No, honey.
Yeah,
no, it's a parody. It's not really a horror movie.
Do you think... I mean, this is going to be hard for you because you don't watch a lot of Queen Latifah. Do you think she could carry a horror movie?
Queen Latifah could do anything.
I think she could do anything.
The thing
That's
is...
true. She had a whole career. She was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, you may not know this, but she just got a hefty paycheck because she's doing the Equalizer show on the third or fourth season.
I did see that. Yeah,
no,
the Equalizer
she could
show.
carry a horror movie really well. I could see that. I mean, like, she could be our hero. Like, totally.
I mean, she could be
our final girl.
She could be our... I don't think that. I think that would be boring. For her to be the final girl.
You think she want her to be the villain?
No, I think she's...
I don't think I've ever seen Queen Latifah be the bad guy.
Well, and that's a real LL Cool J in horror movie things where he always survives. Deep Blue Sea, he doesn't die. Halloween H2O, he doesn't die. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong about that. But I think there's something in his contract that he doesn't get killed in these movies. No, I think Queen Latifah mostly would be at this point in her career, the mom who's awesome throughout, always believes the kids, a real Gary Busey and Silver Bullet situation, and then comes out fucking kicking ass like she's mom, but in the top of the third act, she suddenly has a shotgun or an axe and just goes to town and goes, oh my God, Mom now has a weapon, and everyone goes, yeah, and then at the last moment gets killed, and it just breaks your heart.
But it would have been amazing.
But it gives her kids or whatever enough time to get away to fight at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the move.
We're writing it now. Untitled Queen Latifah horror picture.
Yeah. When she dies, you want to go, no.
I loved you so much. You were my mom.
I wish you were my mom, Queen Latifah.
I love it. It's so good. Write it, Michael.
All right. Let's wrap this up. This has been the worst one. This felt bad.
So at the end of this, we are not recommending this movie to anyone.
We're not even releasing this episode.
Yes, we are.
So I want to do the thanks to everybody. First, thank you, Jamie, for being our producer. I want to thank Kevin MacLeod for our music. All of the artwork in our show is done by Lindsay and myself. You can get it and all the extra stuff over at creaturepop.com. That's creature with a K. And bye.
Bye.